So in the earlier sessions, we have gone through how the complex network software can be layered to simplify its design and what are the different functionalities performed by each layer, right? But we didn't think about how these functionalities of each layer are got implemented, right? So from now onwards, we will discuss in detail about the functionalities of each layer and how these are actually got implemented. So we will go through different algorithms to implement the functionalities and also the protocols followed in each layer. So we will start from the first layer, that is the bottommost layer, physical layer. And actually, as you know, the physical layer is concerned with the transmission of raw bit, right? Zeros and ones are actually how these zeros and ones are got transferred over the network or the media, right? So it's mainly concerned about the physical or mechanical or electrical characteristics of the physical medium. So it mainly defines what are the different types of media, what is the topology used, or how these zeros and ones are actually transferred, like what are the different encoding schemes available, like that. So all those things you have already learned in your data communication course in the previous semester, right? So we are not bothered or we are not going to the details of physical layer. We are starting from the data link layer. Okay. And first we will discuss about different design issues in this data link layer. Then we will discuss different protocols and algorithms used. As you know, the position of this data link layer in the entire software hierarchy is just above the physical layer, right? And based on the functionalities or responsibilities of this data link layer, this layer can be again divided into two sub-layers: logical link control layer and then media access control layer. So logical link control mainly deals with how the link can be controlled, how the media can be controlled, different algorithms and functionalities we can see in this layer. And the media access control, this layer actually comes in picture when we are using a shared media, that is multi-point configuration. Multiple devices share the same media. In that case, there should be some mechanism to provide access of the channel, right? Because multiple hosts, multiple machines may compete for the same channel. In that case, using some protocols, the channel access will be allowed. And for that, we are using the media access control. So we will go through all those protocols and algorithms in detail. So let us think about the data link layer design issues first. As you know, the ultimate goal of any layer, the design of any layer, is to provide some services to the upper layer by taking the services provided by the lower layer, right? The same thing happens in the case of data link layer also. It provides some services to the upper layer, that is network layer, by taking the services offered by physical layer. Apart from the services provided to the network layer, it also performs other functionalities like framing, physical addressing, error control, flow control, and access control. So we will see all those things in detail. Okay. The purpose of this data link layer is to offer some services to network layer, right? What service it will offer? Yeah, it will take a packet from the network layer of one machine and it hand over to the network layer of the next machine by taking the service provided by the physical layer, that is the transmission over the physical medium. You remember that data link layer is responsible for hop to hop delivery, right? Hop to hop in the sense it receives a packet from one node and it will transfer this data over the media to the neighboring node. These two nodes are directly connected over a link. Okay, there is a physical connection between these two. It can be either wireless media or wired media. Whatever may be the media, transfer the packet from one node in a reliable and efficient way to the network layer of the next node, the neighboring node. That is the functionality of this data link layer. So the data link layer receive a packet from the network layer of one machine, attach a header part and trailer part. What information will be attached as header and trailer we will see later. And this will be passed over the media to the next machine. Where in the data link layer, this header and trailer part will be removed and the payload part, that is the data packet actually, that will be handed out to the network layer. So if you think about the data link layer, this can be the communication path, right? From the network layer of one machine to the data link layer to the network layer of the next machine. Actually, this is the communication path. Takes the service of the physical media, right? Actually, the communication happening over the physical media, like this. This is the actual communication, whereas this is the virtual communication. And this data link layer is actually designed to offer different types of services to the network layer. Different types in the sense based on the scenario. Just for example, based on the links, whether it is reliable link or unreliable link, or based on the application, whether it is real-time application where speed is important or accuracy is important, like that. Depending on the scenario, different types of services are offered by this data link layer. First category is unacknowledged connectionless service. So in this case, this service consists of source machine send independent frames to the destination machine without having the destination machine acknowledge them. The sender will just transfer the data without bothering about whether it is received correctly or not. Simply will transmit the data from the sender to receiver. This is the first case. So usually these types of services will be used in case of links with low error rate, like if these two nodes are connected using a fiber optic cable. In that case, the chance of errors are less, right? Whatever sent, most probably it will be received by the node. So in that case, we can use this unacknowledged connectionless service. Another case for this type of services like real-time traffic. Just for example, if you're taking the case of an online class, if the teacher teaches something and in between some glitches are there due to some noise, 1 or 2 bits of the voice is flipped, it won't create much problem, right? You will understand what she told actually, right? In that case, we can use this method. Whereas lag of voice will be much inappropriate, right? So in such real-time traffic, we can use this unacknowledged connectionless service. Second category of service is acknowledged connectionless service. So we are adding some reliability to the first type of service, where acknowledgement is added here. So here also the service is connectionless. That means before sending the data, the sender will not check whether the receiver is available, the communication is possible with the receiver, like that. Pre-agreement is not done. Okay. So anyway, it will send the data and it will wait for the acknowledgement. So when a receiver receives the data, it will send an acknowledgement back to the sender. So this type of services can be used for wireless system where the chance of errors or noises are more in case of wireless systems, right? So in that case, we can use this method. Whereas here also some issues are there, like if the acknowledgement is lost. In such case, what will happen? The sender will send the data again, right? Duplicate transmission will be there. Such problems are there. So this is the second category of services. And the third type of service is acknowledged connection oriented service. This is the most sophisticated service offered by the data link layer. So with this service, this is a connection oriented service, right? That means before communication, before the actual data communication, the source and destination machine established a connection. As you know, these are actually connected using some link, right? So what do you mean by connection establishment? They will have a pre-agreement on buffer initialization and all. The sender and receiver will be agreed over a communication. And each frame sent over the connection is numbered. Okay. And the data link layer guarantees that each frame sent is indeed received. How? Using this acknowledgement. And also, it guarantees that each frame is received exactly once. There is no duplicates. Using the numbering system, it can assure that every frame is received exactly once and that all frames are received in the right order. Okay. In order delivery is also ensured. So this is the most reliable service offered by the data link layer to the network layer. So taking an example, just for example, a WAN subnet. Okay, we can see how the data flow over different layers involving this data link layer and network layer. Okay, so if it comparing this WAN and LAN, WAN usually contains point-to-point connections between different nodes, whereas LAN contains multi-point configuration. Different nodes will be connected using shared channels. Okay, so let us take the case of a WAN subnet, and we have a sender host H1 and receiver host H2. In between we have a set of routers. So as you remember, the end systems contains all the different layers of reference models, right? Whereas the routers and gateways contains only the lowermost three layers only: physical, data link and network layers. Okay. Now suppose this host H1 wants to send some data to H2. How this data transferred? So the data will be received by the application and passed over different layers, right? And finally it will transferred over the physical link through the different routers and rules. So this is how it proceeds actually, from the physical layer to the physical media from the sending host, then it received by the physical layer of first router, then data link layer, then network layer, again back to the data link layer of the router, then physical layer of the router, then to the next router, right? So this is the pathway of data. Okay, that is physical layer, data link layer, network layer of the router, then again the data link layer and physical layer of the same router, back to the link for the next node. This is the way of communication. Let us take two routers in between. Okay, we have the entire communication. In between we just selected two different routers which are directly connected, adjacent routers, and these two routers are connected using a telephone line, telephone line. Okay, so there is a dedicated point to point link between these two routers. Okay, and one more thing to be noted here is that where the data link layer actually resides in a machine, it actually resides in the network interface card, that's the network adapter. Okay, so this data packet from the earlier node will be received over the network interface, right? And first it will be checked for some hardware errors. We can see how this actually proceeded. So data link layer controls some error control mechanism. So this data from the physical media will be received by this data link layer. There it first checked for some hardware error, and if there is no errors, okay, then it will be passed over the data link layer software here. So 2 is actually the data link software, and what happens there is that, so this data link layer will receive this frame and it will check whether this is the expected frame or not. And if it is the expected one, it will pass over the corresponding packet part to the routing process. Routing process actually network layer. Okay. So the frame, the header and trailer part will be removed by this process 2, that is the data link layer process, and that will be passed over to the network layer where the actual routing will be done actually, right? So this packet part, the data part of the frame, that is a packet received by the routing process in the network layer, and network layer will decide upon where to route this packet, because the same router will have different outgoing lines. You can see here one line is here, there, another interface is there, right? So how this routing will be done? Every router will have a routing table in the network layer. Okay, so corresponding to each final destination, how will you choose the destination? The IP address will be, the destination's IP address will be there in each and every packet, right? Based on that, which outgoing link should be selected, that will be decided by the network layer. Okay, so the process number 3 indicates the network layer process, routing process. Okay, so outgoing link will be selected and the corresponding data link layer will receive the packet from this network layer. So here this process number 2 will receive the data packet from the network layer. Again framing will be done, some header and trailer part will be attached to this packet, then will be handed out to the interface, then to the physical media. Then the same thing happens here also. So the routing code or the network layer, which just wants the job to be done right, with a reliable sequenced connection on each point-to-point link. Does not bother about what happens if the packets are lost or something like that. So it's up to the data link protocol, which is shown here in dotted rectangle. This is the data link layer responsible part. Okay, It's a duty of this detailing layer protocol to make unreliable communication lines look perfect, or at least fairly good to the network layer. So here it is shown like two different copies of the detailing layer for the same router, right? Actually, that is not the case. The same software, detailing layer software will be there, and different copies will handle different lines. Okay, for each line, there will be separate copy for the same detailing software, like that. Okay. So in this session, we have seen the services provided by this detailing layer to the network layer, and other functionalities like error control, flow control, like that we will see in the later sessions. Thank you.